So migration is a very important issue politically at the moment. There have been public concerns about rising numbers of net migration over the last few years, and it's a hugely salient issue. So it's one of the top concerns of members of the public. And in addition to that, there are a couple of issues which make it especially important and very much the focus of political debate at the moment. And one of those is Brexit and the debate about EU migration and whether leaving the EU would enable the UK government to better control immigration flows, which is obviously a very highly charged and contentious issue. And the second one, of course, being the backdrop of the migrant crisis or the refugee crisis in Europe, which again is a very prominent issue in the media and political debate. So these concerns sort of come together to make immigration and refugee flows one of the top most pressing political issues today. I think social science can play a very important role in current debates on immigration and on policy making on immigration. Current ways of framing or conceiving of the problem of immigration and refugee flows tend to be based on quite, let's say, populist understandings of the problems. And that's partly because of mass media reporting, which tends to be quite simplistic in the way it reports immigration issues. And it's also, to be frank, because of political leadership of all the main political parties, really, which is sort of, in a sense, been susceptible to this kind of temptation to mobilise public support around concerns about immigration, so very much playing up concerns about immigration. So I think social scientists have a really important role to try to dispel some of the myths and misperceptions about immigration, about the level and composition of flows, about its impacts on UK society and economy. And I think we've got to get those research findings out to inform public debate. So tonight I'm going to be talking about the possibilities for research and expert knowledge to influence and inform policy debates on immigration. And at the moment, if we look at media coverage and political discourse around immigration issues, we can see that debate is often quite populist in the way that immigration issues are framed. So I'm going to be discussing why this is the case. And actually, if we look back just 10 years, labour migration issues were debated in a much more technocratic way. So evidence and research was really drawn on to inform policy responses and political debate on immigration. What's happened over the last 10 years that shifted the nature of public debate in the UK? Why have we gone from a more sort of technocratic evidence-based debate on immigration to one which is much more sort of based on intuitive lay perceptions about immigration? So if I were to give some advice to policymakers, if I were in that position, I think one of the key things is to recognise, on the one hand, that there are very intense and strong public concerns around immigration, of course, and immigration raises important issues around different interests and values and so on. So it has to be debated in a way that's democratic and that acknowledges people's concerns and beliefs and values around immigration. At the same time, the public actually has the right to be better informed about immigration, about its impacts. And so I think that debate also has to have a proper evidence base. So we need forums for debate which allow both types of deliberation about values and concerns and so on around immigration that the public hold, and also forums which allow us to draw on evidence and research to inform beliefs. In Germany, in the early 2000s, an SPD government tried to liberalise labour migration, and this was rejected for a number of reasons. But what that political debate triggered was a cross-party immigration commission, which had a really thorough deliberation on immigration issues. So they drew on a range of expert witnesses, they involved key stakeholders across society, they involved all the major political parties, and they had a very intense, in-depth debate about immigration in Germany. And that led to a real sea change in the way that immigration is debated in Germany, and leading to a much more informed and honest and frank debate about immigration, its benefits, some of the problems raised by it. Now, I'd love to see a debate like that in the UK. So I'd like to see real political leadership from UK political parties to launch a cross-party, in-depth, thorough discussion about immigration and asylum in the UK.